Hey guys, welcome to Decode NCRT, and today's topic is nomenclature. As you all know that I had posted a video before explaining the basic rules and terms used in nomenclature. So today's video is on the nomenclature of alkenes, alkenes and alkynes. So to begin with, I'm going to be starting with explaining the different steps that are involved in naming a compound. So our first topic is nomenclature of alkenes. So to begin with, let's know how to identify a parent chain. We all are aware that parent chain is the longest carbon atom chain present in a compound. In these three examples, as you can see, the box that is being made around these carbon chains represent the parent chain. That is, they have the largest number of carbon atoms in them. Now, if two carbon chains contain the same number of carbon atoms in the compound, that time you are in a dilemma to select which one to be the parent chain. So in this one, whichever has more number of branches or whichever has more number of substituents attached to it, that will be selected as a parent chain. In the first one, if you see, the number of carbon atoms present in a row are 6, and even the second one, number of carbon atoms present in a row are 6. But in the first one, there are 3 substituents attached to it, and in the second one, there are only 2 substituents attached to it. That's why we select the first one to be our parent chain. Now coming to the second example, in both of them, if you observe, there are 8 carbon atoms present in a row. But in the first one, there are 4 substituents present to it. That means there are 3 methyl groups and 1 propyl group attached to the carbon atoms. So they have 4 of them. And the second one, there is there's a secondary butane group attached to it and 2 methyl groups attached to it. That means there are only 3 substituents. Hence, since the first one has more number of substituents, we select the first one to be our parent chain. Now coming to the third one, in this also there are 7 carbon atoms present in the longest chain, but in the first one there is only one side chain. That is, they have only one carbon. That means they only have one substituent. But in the second one, there are 3 substituents present in it. Hence, we choose the third one to be a parent chain. The second and most important step is the allotment of the serial numbers to the carbon atoms of the parent chains. That is nothing but the allotment of the locants. So the allotments of the serial number is done in such a way that the carbon atom that has a substituent attached to it gets the least number of locant. So that means it has the least number given to it. So in the first one, if you see, if you see the first example, so if I start allotting the numbers from left to right, you can observe that the carbon that has the methyl group or nothing but substituent attached to it gets number 2. But if in the second case, if I start giving the serial numbers from right to left, the carbon atom that has the methyl group attached to it gets the number 3. As we know that 2 is lesser than 3, we choose the first way of allotting the numbers, because the carbon that has the substituent attached to it gets the least number. So to explain how do we give these locants positions to the carbon chains, I'm going to be showing it with the help of few more examples. I would request you all to carry a paper and pen when you're watching this video, so that when I'm showing these different examples, you guys can to pen it on the paper and practice practice giving the locants to the chain and also naming the compounds. So let's take the example of this compound. If you can notice that there are 2 substituents to this particular carbon chain. So as we all know that these substituent attached carbon should get the least number. So if I do the naming of if I do the allotting of the locants from left to right, I can notice that the 2 carbon atoms that have the substituents attached to it get the number 2 and 3. That is the least. While if I do from right to left, the carbon atoms get the number 3 and 4. And if you take the sum, the first one is 5 and the second one is 7. As we all know that 5 is lesser than 7, we follow the first way of naming. This method, this number can differ for different functional groups, priority groups, based on the priority list, the substituents attached to it. But we always give the locants position by calculating the sum of the numbers that are present on the substituent attached carbons. Whichever of them has the least sum, that direction of naming or that way of naming is taken to be the final one. So looking at this example, when we start the numbering from left to right, the first substituent, that's the CH3, it appears from the it appears on the C3 when we do the numbering from left to right. But when we do the numbering from right to left, the substituent that appears on the C3 carbon here is C2H5. That's something with the ethyl group. In such a case, the alphabetical order of the first letter of the name of the substituent is taken into consideration. The E in the ethyl group comes first in alphabetical order, then M in methyl group. So the numbering is done from left to right so that the carbon holding the ethyl group gets the least serial number. If the two groups are not at equal distance from either ends, like shown in this examples, this procedure is not followed. So this condition is only followed when when the substituents are equidistant from the carbon. So because when we when we allot the numbers, they kind of get the same numbers. So this is the example for it. But if you see in the first one, when there is a methyl and ethyl group and they are not in an equal distance, we take methyl to be given as the first preference. That is that it should have the least number. Now coming to the next example. Now I would like you guys to also pin this down and tell me which is the right order. Now, if you see from left to right, the carbon atoms that have the substituents attached to it are 2, 7, and 7. And when I take a sum of this, it is 16. And when I go from right to left, the sum of the carbon atoms that have substituents attached to it are 3, 3, 8. So that is 14. Since 14 is a lesser number, we choose the second way, that is allotting the numbers from right to left direction. Here, if you have seen that there are two methyl groups attached to the third carbon, since the two methyl groups attached here, I write the number 3 and 3. If there's only one methyl group, I write the number only 3. Like in this case here, only one methyl group is present at the 8th carbon, so I gave the name here, so I put 8 here when I calculate the sum. Now writing the complete name. So I hope you all have a pen and paper with you so that when I'm showing the example in the slide, you guys can also copy it. You guys can write down the name that you think is right. And then when I show the next slide, you guys can check whether your answer is correct. Even though I'll be giving an explanation, you guys can even see whether you have done it right or you have done it wrong, or which step did you, do a mistake while you're numbering or writing the name. So coming to our first example, we all know that the first step in naming any compound is identifying the parent chain. That is nothing but the carbon chain having the maximum number of carbon atoms. So in this example, we get to know that the longest chain of carbon atom here has 5 carbon atoms present in it. So now, since we know what is the parent chain, now comes the positioning of the locants. So now locants are given in such a way so that the substituents get the least number. So in this case, the substituents here are methyl and ethyl group. If they have to get the least number, we have to start giving the locants from left to right. That is, the group will get the number 2 and ethyl group will get the number 3. So as you see, this is how we do it. Because if we go from right to left, methyl and ethyl group get the number 3 and 4, and the sum is 7. While in the other case, the sum is 5. Since 5 is less than 7, we decide to give the locants position from left to right. Now, while coming to the naming, we all know that we start with writing the substituents. So here we have two substituents, that's methyl and ethyl group. Now we have a confusion regarding the point that which substituent do we mention first. So as we all know, the substituent name for ethyl group starts with the letter E, and for methyl group it starts with the letter M. And we all know that E comes before M in the alphabetical order. So in the same way, when we are writing the name, we give ethyl group more value because of that E letter, and after that we write methyl group. So now the naming happens by writing the locant number of ethyl slash that is 3 slash ethyl, again slash 2, then methyl, and then what is the longest carbon chain here? It has 5 atoms, and we know that the root word for 5 is pent, and it's all having a single bond, so the name comes ane. That is for a saturated compound. Hence the name is 3-ethyl 2-methyl pentane. Next example, here you can notice that there are 2 methyl groups and there is 1 ethyl group in the center. And the longest chain here also has 5 carbon atoms. So you guys can also write down this example on the paper and try to find out what the name might be of this compound. So now if I give the position of the locants for this compound, I realize that whether I go left to right or right to left, they get the same number, because ethyl group is present in the middle, and methyl groups are present next to it. So even if I go right to left or left to right, they get the same number. If I go, that is, the sum here will be 2 plus 3 plus 4, that is nothing but 9. Now coming to the naming of this compound, it's the same way, but here, since we have 2 methyl groups present here, we name it as di. So the name finally for this here is 3-ethyl, because the ethyl group is attached to the third carbon. So we name it as 3-ethyl, and there is a hyphen between any number and the alphabet whenever we are doing the naming. Now coming to the naming, writing the name of these 2 methyl groups, we write 2,4 dimethyl pentane. Rather than just writing dimethyl pentane, we have to mention both the locant numbers for the carbon atoms that have the substituent methyl present on it. And since we all know that there are 5 carbon atoms present in the longest chain, the root word will be pent, and it's a saturated compound and there are no unsaturated bonds present in it. Hence, it will get the suffix as in. So the final name here is 3-ethyl 2,4 dimethyl pentane. Please remember, you have to be very careful when you're writing these names on paper. Whenever you're writing 2 locants, that is, if you're mentioning the name here like 2,4, don't forget to write the comma between 2 and 4, because that's another mistake for which you guys don't get marks. It becomes 24 dimethyl pentane. That's why it's very necessary we have to put a comma in between them. So there are 2 main things here: hyphenating the number and the alphabet, and always putting a comma between 2 consecutive locant numbers. Now coming to our next example. Here, this example, it looks pretty complicated, but it's actually very simple. I would request you guys to also take this example down on a paper and try to find out what's the parent chain. So from going to left to right, let's count what are the number of carbon atoms present in the longest chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if I go in this order, the longest chain from left to right, that is a straight chain, has 9 carbons. But if I take the branching 2 in consideration and take the one here to be as my substituent, let's see what are the number of carbon atoms present in it. So here we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here there are only 8 if we take the branching in consideration, and 9 if we take the straight chain and taking the middle branching to be our main substituent branching. So if we give the locant numbering, this is the numbering, and there are 9 carbon atoms present in the parent chain. Now coming to a branching, even in a branching, if you observe, there is substituents attached to it. So when we are naming this branching, the carbon atom that has this branching starting with, we name that as first, that is 1, and then the carbon that is attached to it as 2, and the last one to be as 3. Now these also have branching, and now let's see how do we name these compounds too. So if you see that there are now 9 carbon atoms in the parent chain and 3 in the main parent chain of the substituent branching, and these two have 3 substituents attached to it. Now while we are giving the final name, we start with the branching, that is the substituent. So first, when we are writing here, we mention the carbon atom number that has this branching present on it. So as we all know that the 5th carbon has a branching present on it, so we write the number 5 first. Now whenever we are writing such complex branching in our name, we have to put a bracket. That is a circular bracket. Do not put a square bracket here. It is actually wrong. Always remember you have to put a circle bracket in this one. So now coming to now let's see what is the parent chain here in a substituent branching. Here if you see that there are 3 carbon atoms present in a parent substituent chain, hence the root word for this is prop, and it has 3 methyl groups present as substituents, and hence the numbering here we give is 1, 2, 2. That is the position of the locants present on these substituent carbons. That is the branching here. And since there are three of them, we write it as tri. If there are two of them, we write it as di. And since they are of the same type, we write it as trimethyl. Sometimes there might be a chlorine group and a bromine group present here. That time we don't write it as dibromo-chloro. We write it as, example, in the first one I have one chlorine, in the second one I have a bromine, and I don't have any of the substituents here. I'll write it as 1-chloro, 2-bromo. I won't write it as no dichlorobromo or dihalo, nothing like that. We have to mention the particular name of that separately if they are not the same kind. But in this one, if you see the substituents are of the same kind, that is, they all have the methyl group present in it. So we write it as trimethyl. Now coming to our naming the substituent thing. So it will be 1, 2, 2 hyphen trimethyl propyl, because there are two carbon, two methyl groups present on the second carbon. Hence we have to mention those two separately. Even some people think that even if we write it once, that 1, 2 trimethyl propyl, that is wrong. You have to mention the locant number for each substituent that's present here. Since there are two substituents present here on the same carbon, then also have to write 1, 2, 2. I have to mention that 2 for both of them. Hence, the name here will be for the substituent 1, 2, 2 trimethyl propyl. Now, you always know the substituent ends with an "-il", that is YL. And so, since this is a trimethyl propyl substituent present here, we end it with our parent root word, that is non, and it's unsaturated. It's a saturated compound, and hence it has the suffix as "-ane". So finally, the name is 5 bracket 1, 2, 2 trimethyl propyl nonane. So this is the nomenclature of saturated compounds. Naming of saturated compounds just with methyl ethyl propyl groups is very simple. Now coming to the nomenclature of unsaturated compounds. So the nomenclature of unsaturated compounds is nothing but the nomenclature of alkenes and alkynes. And the first step in this nomenclature is the same as the nomenclature of saturated compounds, is nothing but the naming of alkanes. So as we know, the selection of parent chain is the first step. It is nothing but the selection of the longest continuous carbon chain containing double or triple bonds, even if it has less number of carbon atoms present in it. So the main catch here is that the parent chain is chosen to be that chain in which the double or triple bond is present, even though if it has less number of carbon atoms present in it. So if you see the first one, here they have considered the double bond in the parent chain, and so the number of carbon atoms present in the parent chain are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. But in the second case, it's the same thing. If they don't consider the double bond, they get like around 6 carbon atoms in the parent chain. But we cannot ever take an double bond over a single bond. Always a double bond is given more priority when compared to a single bond, and triple bond is given more priority to when compared to double bond. But there are two main cases that also I'm going to be discussing in the future. Now in the second example also, if you see, the triple bond is taken in the parent chain, even though it is not forming the longest longest continuous carbon chain, but since it has the unsaturated bond present here, it is known as the parent chain. Now, the allotment of the serial numbers in this one happens in a pretty different way. So here, the carbon atoms of the parent chain are numbered in such a manner that the carbon holding the double or triple bond gets the least number. Okay, and the carbon atom holding an alkyl group, that is like methyl, ethyl, propyl, or chlorine, nitro, are given next priority when compared to these groups. Okay, so in this one, if you see, there is a double bond and a chlorine attached to the chain. Now, the allotment of the locant, so nothing but the allotment of the serial numbers is done in such a way that the double bond that is attached to the first carbon gets more priority. So we can say that the double bond here is attached to the first carbon and the chlorine is attached to the third carbon. And this is how we do the this is how we allot serial numbers for methyl, chlorine, and nitro groups when there is a double bond present in it. But When there are functional groups like alcohol, aldehyde, ketone, and carboxylic acids, they get priority over double or triple bond. So you have to remember here two things. If there are functional groups like alkyl, chlorine, and nitro, that time the double bond or triple bond gets more priority. That means we give the double and triple bond containing carbon the least number. That is one, the least number in the total chain. But when it comes to the chain, if it's containing groups like alcohol, aldehyde, ketone, and carboxylic acids, that's C double bond O, OH, that time the double bonds and triple bond position take a backseat and priority is given to the alcohol or these aldehydes, ketones, or carboxylic group. So in this one, if you see, there is a double bond and an alcohol group present, but since alcohol group has given more priority over the double bond, so the carbon atom that has alcohol present to it gets the higher number. Now coming to the naming, here also we can see that there is an alkyl substituent and there is one double bond present here, and we all know that the double bond gets more priority over alkyl group. So when we start naming it, we make sure that the double bond gets the least number. Okay, so if I go naming from right to left, that is allotting the numbers from right to left, the double bond carbon gets number 2 and the methyl group gets number 4, and the sum of these two locants are 6. But if I go from left to right, here the number is also 6, that is 2 plus 4. But we all know that the double bond always gets a higher priority, so we do the allotment in such a way that the carbon atom here gets the least number, that is 2. Now coming to our next example here also if you see that here the double bond is present somewhere in the middle. It's present in the middle, so that even if I name from left to right or right to left, the carbon atom that has a double bond present to it gets the number 3 or 4. That is, it gets the number 3 if I go from any side, that is left or right. But now here we are in a dilemma that which way should we name it? Should we go from like right to left or should I go from left to right? So here we do it in such a way that if the double bond is present equidistant to the ends of the carbon chain, the substituent here the naming is done in such a way that the substituent gets the least carbon. So if I go from right to left, in this case the substituent gets the number 2. And if I go from left to right, I get the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. But 2 is lesser than 5, and hence we take the right to left allotment. So here the double bond here gets the number 3 and the methyl group, that's the alkyl substituent, here gets the number 2. Now coming to our next example, here we can see that the alcohol group is present at an equidistant point, that it's present on the third carbon even if I go from right to left or left to right. Now we are in a dilemma to take which allotment to be right, that is if I go from right to left allotting or left to right allotting. So here I do it in such, so in this case also like the previous one, if the main function or the main priority group is present equidistant, we make sure that the second priority group here gets the least locant number. So here the first priority is alcohol, that is nothing but OH group. It's present on the carbon 3, even if I go from right to left or left to right. Now here it's the main question of the double bond. If I go from right to left, here the double bond gets the number 4, and if I go from left to right, here double bond gets the number 1. So hence allotting the numbers from left to right, that's from left to right, if I start numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, double bond gets the number 1 and the alcohol groups gets the number 3. And so this is the way how we name it. Now coming to the main cases, there are two cases when in naming a double bond and a triple bond that are present in the same compound. Now if these bonds, that's a triple bond and a double bond, are present in the extremes of the carbon chain, so here we are in dilemma which one should we give more priority. So whenever these two bonds are present at the extreme ends, that is they are attaching the last and the first carbons, that time the double bond is given more priority than the triple bond. So in this one, since if I go from left to right, here the double bond carbon gets the number 1, so this is given the more and it's present in the extreme corner both of them, so they get the So the double bond carbon gets the number 1 and the triple bond carbon gets number 3. But if you see in my third case, okay, and if you see in my second case, here they are not present at extreme ends. Here the triple bond is present in one corner at the extreme end and the double bond is present somewhere in the middle. So whenever these bonds are, not present on, extreme ends, the triple bond here gets the higher priority when compared to the double bond. So here if I go from right to left, the carbon atom the carbon atom that has a triple bond will have the least number, that is 1, and so we do the allotment of the number from right to left, and this is how we name it. So there are two important cases, that is one when when there's a double and triple bond present in the extremes, and the other case when they are present somewhere in the middle, that is they're not equidistant, that is they are not present at extreme corners. In that case the triple bond gets more priority than the double bond. Now, if two double bonds are present in a ring compound, both are given priority, particular so it in the ring compounds. So in the first one, if you see, there are two double bond presents in the ring chain. It's not a benzene one, and it has a methyl group attached to it. So here I give the numbering in such a way that the double bond gets the least number, not in a way that the double bonds get get a number higher, seen in the next two examples, that is the correct notation and the one that is not correct. We are always naming these in a particular manner so that the double bonds here get the more priority, so that even if they are double or triple in number, we make sure that they are given more priority when compared to the alkyl groups. Now coming to few more examples. Here if you can see that here it's a cyclic compound and it has an aldehyde group, a double bond and a chlorine group present here. So here the numbering is done in such a way that the aldehyde gets the lowest number because it is having more priority than the double bond, and the double bond has more priority to the chlorine group. So naming is done in such a manner that the uh, so that the substituents that have more priority that are attached to the carbon here get the least number, that is the carbon that is having the more priority group gets the least number. Since aldehyde is more is the most priority one here, it gets the number 1, that's the least, and next comes the double bond, that is it gets the number 2, and the chlorine is present in the sixth carbon present here because it is having the least priority. And when we go in order naming it, this is the order that we get. Now coming to our next one, that is we have an acid chloride group present here, a double bond and a methyl group. Here we know that the acid chloride group gets more priority when compared to the double bond and methyl group. So we do the naming in such a way that the carbon that has the acid chloride group attached to it gets number 1, double bond gets the number 2, and the methyl group gets the number 6 because we are going in order. Please do not jumble up the order and do not skip any number when we are writing it, because many children when they are in a hurry of doing this, they sometimes miss the number like 3 or 4, and that time it becomes a huge problem in writing the root word, because sometimes students end up writing the root word as 8 when it might be when the correct answer might be actually 10, or it might be 9. So please be very careful that you don't miss any number when you're writing these local numbers. Now these are the various examples. Now I'm going to be discussing how we name them. The first step in the first one is that we identify the parent chain, and the parent chain here has 5 carbon atoms. All of you can also write down these examples, and as I'm telling, you can also write down the names, or even here the names are given, but you can also frame it and then check whether your names are correct or not. So in the first example, you see that there are 2 double bonds present here, and here the double bonds are attached to the first and third carbon. So you know that these double bonds are given as a secondary suffix name. So here the naming goes as pent because the root word here is pent, as the parent chain has 5 carbons. And since there are 2 double bonds present here, we have to mention the double bond location for both of the bonds, that is 1, 3, and write diene because there are 2 double bonds, and we know that the root word or the suffix for the double bonds is ene. So the name here for the first one is penta 1, 3 diene. While coming to the second example, here also the chain has 5 carbon atoms, giving the parent root word to be a pent, and it has 2 double bonds present on the first and fourth carbon. So the name here is pent 1, 4 diene. Now coming to our third example, here it has two triple bonds present on the first and fifth carbon. So hence again this is a pent. All of these, if you see, they are all 5 carbon atoms that are present in the parent chain, and so the name root word here is pent. Since there are since it is present on the first and fourth carbon and the third one, the name here is penta 1,4 diene, because the secondary suffix for triple bonds is "-ine", and for double bonds it's "-ene". Now coming to our fourth and last example, here the triple bonds are present somewhere in the middle. That is on the second and fourth carbon. Hence the name here is hexa 2,4 diene. Now if both are present in these compounds, in these compounds the names are separated by using hyphens, and their positions in the parent chain, that is "-ene" should come first and "-ine" should follow it. That are we have two cases for it. So in the first one, if you see, the triple bond and the double bond are not present in the extremes in the first case, the one that I'm circling right now. Here the double bond and triple bond are not present at the extremes. So when they are not present in the extremes, the triple bond is given more priority, and hence the carbon that has a triple bond attached to it is given the least locate number. Now coming to our second example here you can see that the double and triple bonds are present in the extremes. And when in this case the naming happens, we all know that the double bond is given more priority than the triple bond. So these are the two important and very much known and confusing cases that they give us. Please remember that if those double bond and triple bond are not present in the extreme positions of the carbon chain, the triple bond is given more priority when compared to the double bond. And if they are present in the extremes of the compound, that time the double bond is given more priority than the triple bond. So as the name goes, for the first one, if you see, the root word is pent, because there are 5 carbon atoms present here. Now here the naming goes by here we know that now we sometimes might get confused that why don't we write first one "-ine" and then 3 "-ene", but here also we use the alphabetical importance, and we know that "-ene" has the alphabet E and "-ine" has the alphabet Y. So we all know that E comes before Y, and so we write the double bond suffix first, because it starts with the letter E and then the triple bond suffix, no matter whatever is its position. So the first one here is pent 3 in 1 "-ine", because one for the "-ine" group, because here it is getting the most priority, and then 3 for the double bond, because here it's getting the least priority. Now coming to the second one, that is here it has 4 of them, that is 4 carbon atoms present in the long chain. So the root word here is "but", and here 1 "-ene" and then 3 "-ine". If you see that now each of these are separated by an hyphen. Do not forget to separate these names by a hyphen, that is the alphabets and the numbers with a hyphen, even when you're ending and starting it in the middle of the chain. If it's at the end, you can leave it. So now you all are clear with the first and second of these examples. So the first example is pent 3 "-ene 1 "-ine", and the second one is but 1 "-ene and 3 "-ine". Please note that the second one has only 4 carbon atoms present in the main chain. Now there are more examples here. Now here if you see that the double bond is present attached to the second carbon, so the name here is but 2 "-ene". So this is how you represent it when they are present in the middle of the carbon or in the beginning. That is, you write the locant number of that carbon that has that particular double or triple bond present here. So in the first one it's but 2 "-ene. In the second one it's present on the first one, so it's but 1 "-ene. In the third one, there is a triple bond present here. So the name here, so the secondary suffix here is "-ine". And since it's attached to the first carbon, it will get the number but 1 "-ine, and the second one is present in the middle. So it will get the number but 2 "-ine. Now, these are few examples. I would really like you all to, actually write down these examples in your book and then solve it and then check whether your answers here are correct or not. So I'm giving you all 10 seconds. You guys can quickly copy it down. Here I have mentioned the locant numbers, but in exams they don't do it. So you just write the names without mentioning the locant numbers, and then give your opinion on the locant numbers, and then write down the name. So now coming to our first example. So in the first one, if you see, we always name the substituent, we always write down the substituent before the secondary suffix. So here if you see, the root word here is pent because it has 5 carbon atoms present here, and the methyl group here is attached to the 4th carbon, and the double bond is present on the 2nd carbon. And since double bond here gets more priority when compared to the alkyl group, here the methyl group gets number 4, and we do the allotment of the locants from right to left. And so the name here is 4-methyl pent 2-ene. As you all saw in the last one, how do we name these double bonds and all. Now coming to the second example, here if you see, the double bond here is present in the middle, that is it is equidistant, that's present on the third one, if you third carbon if you count, rather than else from from right to left or from left to right, the carbon that has a double bond attached to it gets a number 3. So in this case, the so deciding which side to start naming it, it goes to the second priority group, that's the substituent. In this one, if you go naming from left to right, the substituent methyl group gets the least number. So we go from left to right, that is methyl group gets number 2, and the methyl group gets the number 2, and it has 6 carbons in the main chain, and hence it is 2-methyl hex 3-ene because the root word here is 6, that is hex. Now coming to the next one, it looks complicated, but it's actually very simple. Now here if you see that the triple and double bond are not present are not at the extreme corners. In this case, you are pretty much aware that the triple bond here will get more priority. That is, it will get the least locate number attached to it. So if I go naming from right to left, there are 2 methyl groups and 1 ethyl group present, and the methyl groups are present on the 3rd and 4th carbon, and ethyl group is present on the 5th carbon. We all know that when we are writing the substituent name, the priority of writing this, like which substituent is written first, doesn't come by the locant number notation, but it comes by the alphabetical order of the particular substituent group. The ethyl has the alphabet that's starting with as E, and methyl has it M, and we all know that E comes before M, so we write it as 5-methyl 3,4 dimethyl oct. Then first you always start writing the substituents and the positions, and then you start with the root word. That here if you see, there are 8 carbon atoms present in the parent chain, and the root word for 8 is oct 6-ene. And here also you know that double bonds suffix is ene and triple bond is ine, so E comes before Y, and so we write it as 6-ene first and then 1-ine. Nevertheless, whatever the number is, always go by the alphabets here whenever you have multiple of them. Please do not fumble up in this and do not end up writing oct 1-ine 6-ene. It is totally wrong. Here the priority of writing this here goes by alphabetical order. While numbering, when you do it, you give more priority to the position of the double bonds and substituents and all. But when you're writing it here, the priority of which one comes first depends on the alphabetical order. Now coming to these two special cases, here I'm going to be talking about cis and trans notification. So you all know that what is cis and trans. Cis means that the two substituent groups or the two similar groups or two, a particular combination of groups is present on the same side of the double bond. And trans means they're present in the opposite one. So in the first one, if you see, the two methyl groups and the two hydrogen are present on the same side, that is on the same side of the double bonds. That is, the methyl group is present on the top and the hydrogen atoms are present in the bottom. And so we get it as cis-but-2-ene. And for the second one, here it is present. Here if you see that the methyl groups are opposite to each other and even the hydrogen atoms are opposite to each other, and hence it gets the name trans-but-2-ene. Now coming to our next example. Here you see it's a cyclic compound that has a double bond attached to it. And we all know that double bond gets more priority when compared to a single bond, and hence its name is methylene cyclohexane. So whenever you're naming these cyclic compounds, always do not forget to write the name cyclo, because it's a cyclic compound. And so the name here is methylene cyclohexane. That's nothing but methylidine. Now coming to our next one. The previous example, we had a methyl group attached to it, but now we have an ethyl group attached to it with a double bond. Same way here we name it as ethylene cyclohexane because it has 6 carbons in the cyclic compound and hence the name is ethylene cyclohexane. Now coming to our next one. Here if you see there is a double bond and a bromine atom attached to the carbon, and we all know that the double bond carbon gets more priority than the bromine one. So first let's count our parent chain carbon atoms. Here if you see there are 4 carbon atoms present here, and hence the name for this goes in such a way that is 4-bromo-but-1-ene, because here the double bond gets more priority than the chlorine or bromine atom or the halogen atom. But so we always write with the substituent here, and the substituent here is bromine, that is 4-bromo-but-1-ene. Then because we write here 1-ene because the double bond present here starts with the first carbon. So coming to our next example here, first we have to do is select the parent chain. So the parent chain here has 4 carbon atoms. So now let's see what are the other things present in it. Here we have a double bond and here we have an alcohol group. We all know that alcohol group gets more priority when compared to a double bond. So the numbering is done in such a way that the carbon that has the alcohol group present on it is a least locant number present, least locant number, and that is done if we do start the locant arrangement from left to right. So if you go from left to right here, you notice that the double bond carbon has the number 3 and the alcohol carbon has the number 1. So now when we write the name, we start with writing the root word, that is but, because there are 4 carbon atoms present here, and then we write the double bond carbon. That's nothing but the second least priority one, and after that comes the most priority one, that is the alcohol. So in this case, if you see the double bond here will act like a kind of substituent, and we all know that substituents here are named before the main priority group or the functional group. So here the double bond is taken to be as the function set to be as the function substituent, and the alcohol group is taken to be here as the main functional group, because alcohol group has more priority when compared to the double bond. So the name goes as but 3-ene 1-ol. 3-ene because the double bond is present on the third carbon, and 1-ol because the alcohol group is present on the first carbon. Now coming to our second example, here we can see that there are 4 carbon atoms present in the main parent chain, and there is a triple bond and an alcohol group. We all know that whether it's a double bond or a triple bond, alcohol groups, aldehyde groups, ketone groups, and carboxylic groups are more highly prioritized when compared to this double and triple bonds. So the naming is done in such a way that the alcohol group gets the least locant number when compared to the triple or double bond. Here we are having a triple bond, and so the numbering is done from right to left, which gives the alcohol group the number 2 and the triple bond carbon the number 3. So the name here is but 3-ine 2-ol. But because there are 4 carbons in the parent chain, and then 3-ine because the triple bond is attached to the third carbon, and 2-ol because the alcohol group is present on the second carbon. There can be many variations, but do not forget the basics of naming, because once you're thorough with the basic, whether they give you any kind of complicated compounds or any new kind of them, you'll be able to answer it without any problem. So coming to our next section here, I'm going to be discussing the nomenclature of esters, aldehydes, ketones, carboxylic acids, acid anhydrides, acid chlorides, esters, amides, nitriles, isocyanides, nitro compounds, primary, secondary, tertiary amines, and also the combination of these in a particular compound. So starting with the first one, that is the nomenclature of an ester group. So we all know that ester group has a double bond oxygen attached to the carbon atom and a single bond oxygen attached to the carbon atoms. So here there are the main, the main basic structural form of naming of an ester is alkyl alkanoate. So here the first alkyl, that is the first word here is given to that part of that ester which has the least number of carbon atoms present in it. So if you see now, there are 2 parts of this ester. First one is the methyl part, other one is the butyl part, which has 4 carbons. So as we all know that methyl has least number of carbons, so the first alkyl part is given to methyl. So it will be methyl, then comes a next naming of the next alkanoate part. Now the alkanoate part is starting with the naming from the carbon that has the double bond oxygen attached to it. So if you see, there are four there are four carbon atoms present here, and there is a methyl group present as a substituent. So whenever you are writing these names, first you write the alkyl group, that is the least number of carbon atoms part of that compound, and then you write the more number of carbon atoms wala part. So if you see those anyone, whenever we are naming the alkyl or the alkanoate part, if there is a substituent present there, we also mention the substituent. So the name for this goes like methyl 3-methyl butanoate. Now methyl for the first alkyl part, and then comes a 3-methyl because there is the substituent methyl present on the third carbon, and then there are 4 carbon atoms present in the double bond oxygen attached carbon group, so it is butanoate. So the name of this compound is methyl 3-methyl butanoate. I'll explain with a much more simple example so you guys can even understand it. I would really request you all to take a note of this in a particular book or something, so that you will have a really good practice of these, because you will get a very good practice of naming these compounds, since I picked them from really very famous books for JEE Mains, JEE Advanced, even for NEET and for PU exams too. So now coming to our next example. Here if you see, it's a simple one, but we have an aldehyde and an alcohol group present here. So now we all are in a dilemma that whether should we name the aldehyde group with the least local number or the alcohol group. So here comes the play of our priority table. According to the priority table, we all are aware that aldehydes have more priority when compared to alcohol groups. So the naming is done in such a way that the aldehyde group gets the least local number. And whenever we are naming an aldehyde, whenever there's an aldehyde group attached to the carbon atom at the terminal position, the carbon the carbon of that aldehyde group is also taken into consideration for naming the main parent chain. So if you see that there are now 3 carbon atoms present in the main parent chain, and here now oxygen here becomes the substituent, and the aldehyde group becomes the main principal functional group. So whenever you have two main important priority groups present here, whichever has the least priority one becomes our substituent, and whichever has the most priority one becomes a functional group. I call these compounds a clash of titans kind of compounds, because you have two strong priority groups present here. So here now alcohol, we all know that whenever alcohol group is a functional group, it gets the suffix as ol, that's ol. But whenever it is a prefix or nothing but a substituent, it gets the prefix as hydroxy. So the name here is 3-hydroxypropanol. 3-hydroxy because the alcohol group here, that is the substituent, is present on the third carbon atom, and propanol because there are 3 carbon atoms, that's prop, and that is, and for the and for the saturated bonds present here, that's nothing but all single bonds, and al for the aldehyde group. Next part. So here we have an ether group present here. Ether group is nothing but ROR group present, and the name for this is alkoxy alkane. That's something with a general name. And the first, that is the alkoxy group, that means the alkane group that has the oxy name attached to it, is given to that compound that has the least number of carbon atoms attached to it. So in this one, if you see, there are two parts. We have a methyl group and a propyl group here. And since methyl group has the least number of carbon atoms, we write the name as methoxypropane. Okay, so it's the general formula is alkoxy alkane. So we don't attach any further attachments or suffixes against the last alkane name. And here we can write it in two ways. Like we can write it as 1-methoxypropane or methoxypropane. Anyone is fine, because sometimes you have like an like an iso group attached to that R groups in the alkoxy part or in the main alkane part. In that time, you have to mention the number of that local number of that carbon that has a oxygen group attached to it. So in this compound now we have a nitro group attached in it, and so the naming of this compound goes as 2-nitropropane. It's a very simple one here, because you have to just mention the carbon number that has the nitro group present on it. That is, in this case, it's 2. That's the second one, and then write it as 2 nitropropane after measuring the number of carbon atoms present in the parent chain. In the parent chain, there are 3 carbon atoms, so the root word is prop, and there is no unsaturated or double or triple bond. So it's ane here as the main suffix, and so the name is 2-nitropropane. So now coming to our next compound, here we have an aldehyde group attached to our attached in our main carbon chain. So the first step here is giving the identifying the longest chain. So the longest chain I start here is by taking the aldehyde group also in consideration. So going like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see that there are 5 carbon atoms in the main chain, and we all know that aldehyde group is given more priority. So the naming happens in such a way that it starts with the carbon having the aldehyde group to be the first one. So so the positioning of the locants is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here you can see that the aldehyde group is a functional group, and there are 2 substituents attached here, that is on the third and second carbon. They are nothing but the methyl groups. So I want you all to write down this example on paper and write down the name of the compound that you think might be right. I'll give you like around 10 seconds to do it now. And so now let's see what might be the probable, let's see what's going to be the final answer for this compound. That's the final name for this compound. Now the name here will be 2,3 dimethyl pentane. So we all know that whenever you're writing 2 numbers, you have to put a comma between them, and when you're separating a number and a alphabet, you have to always mention a hyphen in between them. Since there are 2 substituents here, you write it as 2,3 dimethyl. Di means 2. Since the same one, it's called as dimethyl, and pental because there is an aldehyde group present here. It's called as pentanol or pental. So your wish, because it's all common now. So coming to our next example here we have an acid chloride attached in our main compound. So the naming is done in such a way that the carbon that has acid chloride attached to it, it also gets the least number of locant here. So here, and it's also included in the main parent chain. So when I start counting the parent chain carbons, here it is 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see that there are 4 of them present here. And we all know that the general name of acid chlorides is OL chloride. That's nothing but the secondary suffix given here is OL chloride. So this is the numbering of the parent chain, and here you can see that there are 2 substituents. One, there is ethyl group and a methyl group. So whenever we are writing the main name, we know that the ethyl group will come first according to alphabetical order when compared to the methyl group. So the name here will be 2-ethyl 3-methyl butanoyl chloride, because OL chloride is secondary suffix for acid chlorides. I hope you all have got this one right, because it was a very simple one. So they will actually give combinations of such things, like they might give some particular substituents attached to it. Sometimes it might be the same, sometimes it might be different. Just be careful, like according to the alphabetical order. Sometimes they might give you a propyl and a butyl group attached as substituents. And this that butyl group starts with B and propyl starts with P. So even though if propyl has a lesser number when compared to butyl group, but when you're writing it, you always start with the butyl group. So now coming to our next one. So this one is also an ester compound, and here you can see that there are two alkyl groups here. One is the ethyl one, and other one is the pentyl, and you have an methyl substituent attached to it on the third carbon. So the name for this is ethyl 3-methyl pentanoate. As you know, it is alkyl alkanoate. And here we have a substituent attached to it, so we will mention the substituent. And if you have a number that is present somewhere in the middle, you always write a hyphen before it and after it whenever you're writing the main name. So here the methyl group is present, and something the substituent is present on the third carbon, so you write it as ethyl -3-methyl pentanoate. Now coming to our next one. So this is an amide compound. So you all know what are amides. Amides are nothing but the carbon atoms that have a double bond O present with it and that is attached to a nitrogen group. That is known as an amide group. So in this one, if you see, there are two methyl groups attached to the nitrogen carbon to the nitrogen atom, and that nitrogen atom is a part of the amide group. And now counting the main parent chain here, we start with the carbon that has a double bond here, and so we can see that there are two atoms in the main parent chain. So the root word for this is eth. So whenever you're naming compounds that have nitrogen group present in it, we always start by the nitrogen one. So the name for this will be N, N dimethyl ethanamide. Now here you can see that I have put a hyphen in between the N and dimethyl, and also a comma between the two N atoms. Now I'll explain you how is this done. So now whenever you're naming an amide group or an amine group, if there are any particular substituents attached to it, for every substituent that's attached to the nitrogen group, you add an N in front of the name. So since there are two of them attached here, you write it as N, N. Just like any other compound, if there are two methyl groups present to carbon atoms, we put the number as 2, 2 or 3, 3 or sometimes 2, 3. So here, since they're attached on the same nitrogen atom, we write it as N, N. Here they take in place, here they are present in the place of that locant number. So here you write it as N, N hyphen dimethyl ethanamide. And suffix for amides is, amide itself. So we write it as N, N dimethyl ethanamide. Because there are two methyl groups attached here, and the parent chain has two carbon atoms present in it. So the root word is eth. And so the final name here is N, N dimethyl ethanamide. Now coming to, so as you all can see that this is an amine group that is being given here, that's an amine compound given here. And so naming an amine compound, so for the first step in this one is identifying the parent chain. So the parent chain is nothing but the longest carbon chain to which the nitrogen group is attached. So in this one there are three carbon atoms present in the parent chain, and it gets a root word as prop. And there is the substituent present on the amine here is 1-methyl group, so it is in secondary amine. And so the naming here goes, and this nitrogen here is attached to the second carbon of the parent chain. So the naming here goes as N slash, that is nothing but hyphen methyl hyphen 2 hyphen propanamine. So I'll break it up. That is N-methyl for that's for the methyl group attached to it as a substituent, and then 2 for the nitrogen group that is attached to the second carbon on it, prop for the parent chain root word, ane for the saturated bonds present that's nothing but the single bonds present here, and amine for the main functional group present here. So now coming to our next compound here. Here we can see that there is a nitrile group, is nothing but a cyanide group present and a double bond present. And we all know that a cyanide group is given more preference than a double bond. So whenever we are counting in the parent chain here, we count it in such a manner that the cyanide carbon here is also taken into the parent chain. So the allotment of the locants goes from right to left. That is, cyanide gets the locant number 1 and the double bond gets the number 2. And so the name here, and so the cyanide will here become the main functional group and the main principal functional group. And so the name here goes like but-2-ene nitrile, because the suffix for cyanide groups is nitrile. I hope you all have copied down this example. Now coming to our next example here, we have an aldehyde group present in our main parent chain. We have a chlorine and a bromine atom. Now if you see that whenever we are selecting the parent chain, we select it in such a manner that the aldehyde gets the least number of locant. So here if you see, aldehyde gets the number 1, 2, 3, 4, and the chlorine attached carbon gets the number 3, and the bromine attached carbon gets the number 4. So here bromine and chlorine are the substituents present here, and aldehyde is the main functional group. So whenever you are naming here, so whenever you're writing down the name here, we are always in a So, we all are in a dilemma whether we should write bromine first or should we write chlorine first. But according to alphabetical order, bromine, that's the B for bromine, comes before the C for chlorine, and hence the name goes as 4-bromo 3-chloro-butanol. 4-bromo for the 4-bromo for the you know um, bromine that is attached to the fourth carbon, 3-chloro for the chlorine that is attached to the third carbon, and butanol because there are 4 carbons present in the parent chain, and ane for the saturated bonds present here, and al for the aldehyde group present in here. I hope you guys have also copied down this example. So moving ahead, I'm going to be discussing the nomenclature of polyfunctional organic compounds. So polyfunctional organic compounds are the compounds that have more than one, functional groups attached to it. And we all know the basic functional groups are, carboxylic acids, aldehydes, alcohols, and all. So we all know that whenever we are, naming a compound, we always have only one principal functional group. We cannot have 3-4 functional groups that we are writing in. So whenever we are naming this polyfunctional group compounds, the one that has the highest priority among all of them is taken to be as the main principal functional group, and the rest all are given the position of substituents. So we all know that these various functional groups have a particular name when they behave as substituents and principal functional groups. So we all are pretty much well versed with the names that they have when they are behaving as suffixes, that is nothing but the principal functional groups, but when they behave as substituents, they get a prefix in front of them. So now making a look at our first compound here. Here you can see that we have an carboxylic group present here, and we have a chlorine group present here, a triple bond and a double bond. And the naming is done in such a way that it's nothing but the positioning of the locants is done in such a way that the carbon that has the carboxylic acid group present attached to it gets the least locant number. So if I go naming from right to left, here you can notice that there are 7 carbon atoms present in the parent chain, and we have to include that carbon from the carboxylic one also in the parent chain. So, and here you can see that the triple and double bond are not present in extremes of the carbon compound. So the triple bond here gets more priority when compared to our double bond. So we can know that so we can get a feeling that okay, we are naming it in the right direction. And now here chlorine becomes a substituent. So the name here for this compound is 2-chloro hept 5-ene 3-ine-oic acid, because the suffix for a carboxylic acid is oic acid. So 2-chloro for the carbon that has the chlorine atom attached to it, and that was the substituent part. Now coming to our main carbon chain, that is our parent chain. There are 7 carbons, so the root word here is hept, and it has a double bond attached to it on the 5th carbon and triple bond attached to it on the 3rd carbon. But as you all know that in alphabetical order, ene is the E in ene comes before the Y in ine, and so the name here will be 5-ene 3-inoic acid. So coming to our next one here you can see that there is an aldehyde group present in our compound, and we also have an alcohol group present in our compound. Now which one to take as our, and also double bond also present in the compound. So which one to take as the functional group? We all know that the priority, according to priority table, aldehydes are given more priority when compared to alcohols. So whenever you're doing nomenclature of polyfunctional groups, please be thorough with the priority table. If you want, write it down 3-4 times, because whenever you write things, it becomes very, very easy to remember these concepts, and they stay registered in your mind for a very, very long time. So now we are naming it in such a way that the aldehyde carbon gets the least locant number, because it is the main functional group according to the priority order, because it gets more priority when compared to the alcohol group. And so alcohol group here will become the substituent, and our main principal functional group is our aldehyde. So the allotment of the locants is from right to left. where alcohol is taken as a substituent, and aldehyde gets the number 1, double bond carbon gets the number 2, and the alcohol attached carbon gets the number 4. So you guys can all write down the number, and please remember that the prefix for alcohol when it's a substituent is hydroxy. So the name for this according to that will be 4-hydroxy pent 2-ene-al. And so I'll break it down. 4-hydroxy for the alcohol group that is present as a substituent on the 4th carbon, pent for the root word of the main carbon chain because it has 5 carbons attached in it, ene because it has a double bond attached in it, and al as the main functional group attached in this compound is an aldehyde. Now coming to our next compound. Here you all can realize that we have an carboxylic acid present, and we also have a ketone group present in our carbon compound, and we also do have a bromine atom. So now we have to decide which one will be our main principal group in ketones and carboxylic acids. We all know that carboxylic acid is the highest priority group present in our entire priority table. So whenever we are naming a compound, we all know that the carboxylic acid group will get the main principal functional group, and we'll also get the least locant number. And so when we are naming this compound, we first need to select our parent chain. And whenever we are selecting the parent chain, we also consider the carbon from the carboxylic acid. So if you take it also into consideration, we have 5 carbons in our parent chain, and here the ketone group becomes our substituent along with our bromine group. So the numbering for this is 1, 2, 3, 4 from the right to left order, where the carboxylic acid group gets the number 1, bromine atom gets the number 2, and the that is the ketone group gets the number 4. Now we all are aware that whenever a ketone group acts as substituent, the prefix that it gets as an substituent is oxo. So now we have two substituents. We have a bromine substituent and we have a ketone substituent. That's nothing but an oxo substituent. So now whenever we are writing down the name according to alphabetical order, bromine, the B of bromine comes before the O of oxo. So even when you're writing it, we have to write it in such a way that we write bromine first and then the ketone groups. That's nothing but the oxo group. So the final name of this compound will be 2-bromo 4-oxo-pentanoic acid. 2-bromo for the bromine attached on the 2nd carbon, 4-oxo for the ketone group attached on the 4th carbon, and pent for the 5 carbons present in the main parent chain, ane for the single bonds present here, and oic acid as a suffix for the carboxylic acid present in this compound. Now coming to our next compound, here we have an alcohol group and ketone group present here. So now we all know that between a ketone and alcohol, the ketone is given more priority when compared to the alcohol group. So the alcohol group here becomes the substituent, and the ketone group here becomes our main principal function group. And whenever we are naming it, we may name it whenever we are allotting the locants, we allot the locants in such a manner that the ketone group gets the least locant number. So this is how the locants need to be allotted, that is from right to left, and the ketone group gets the number 2 and the alcohol group gets the number 3. So we all know that the prefix for alcohol as a substituent is hydroxy. So the final name for this compound will be 3-hydroxybutane 2-one. One for the so now let's break down these names. That is 3-hydroxy for the alcohol group present as a substituent on the 3rd carbon, bute for the 4 carbons present in the parent chain of our that is nothing but the longest chain here, 2-one for allotting the position of the ketone group present here as a main principal functional group. So the final name of this compound is 3-hydroxybutane 2-one. So coming to our next compound, we have to first identify the number of different functional groups present here, so that we can finally decide which one will get the principal functional group tag and which all will become the substituents. So the first one here is an ester group that we have here, and then we have a triple bond, we have a cyanide group, we have a bromine group attached here, and also an amide group attached here. So now we all know that the ester group here gets the highest priority when compared to the amide group or the cyanide group or the bromine group or the even triple bond group. So we do the allotment of the serial numbers in such a way so that the carbon so that carbon that has the ester group attached to it gets the least number of locant attached. So if I start, if I start, allotting these locants to it from right to left, we can notice that this one, the carbon that has the, principal functional group gets the least locant number. So the cyanide group, bromine group, and now the amide group here becomes our substituents. So now, these substituents are do have a prefix, but we usually don't study their prefixes more frequently because we hardly have any questions. But it's very necessary that we are thorough with the prefixes and suffixes of these various functional groups because we don't know when these actually come into use. So let me just tell you what are the different prefixes of these substituents present here. So for amide, for amide group here, the substituent's name, when it behaves like a substituent, it's known as carbomide. And when the cyanide group is present, the its prefix name is cyano. And when bromine is present, we all know it's bromo. So now when we are starting the naming, we start with methyl because the one methyl present here. So methyl, 6 bromo, 5 cyano, 6 carbomyl, hex, 3 ine-OH. So we all know that it's an ester. So whenever we are starting an ester's name, we start with as an alkyl alkanoate. So the alkyl group here is methyl because it's having the least number of carbon atoms attached to it. So after writing that, we have to start naming them other alkanoate part of it. So when we're starting naming the alkanate, we start with the substituent part, and whenever we are writing down the substituents, we write down them in the priority of their alphabetical order. So the B in bromo is given more priority because according to alphabetical order when coming to C of cyano and then C of carbonamide. So now the 6 bromo, 5 cyano, 6 carbamide, hex is for the 6 carbon atoms that are present in the parent chain. So when this amide is present as a substituent, you don't consider it in the main parent chain. You just leave that entire amide group to be called as a carbamyl group. And so the number of carbons present in the main parent chain is 6. So the root word is hex, and there is a triple bond present on the third carbon. So it's hex 3 ine. Ine is for the triple bond present here. Oh wait. So the final name of this compound is methyl 6 bromo 5 cyano 6 carbamyl hex 3 ine-OH. Now coming to our next compound. So our next compound here, we have a carboxylic group. We have an aldehyde group present here. We have a cyanide group present here. Then we have a amide group present here. We have acid chloride group present here. That's nothing but acid chloride group, and we do have an ester group also present over here. So when we take a comparison of all this, we realize that carboxylic group has the highest priority, so it is chosen as a principal substituent or the principal functional group. I'm so sorry. So the carboxylic acid is chosen as the principal functional group. The rest all groups attached here turn into our normal substituents. So when we are naming it, so we first select a parent chain. So since carboxylic acid is highest priority, we start naming the locants from here. So when we start naming it, it gets number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we have 6 carbon atoms in our main parent chain. So let's start naming them. So the fifth one here, so by starting it, the name of this compound will be 5 carbomyl 6 chlorocarbonyl 4 cyano 2 formyl 3 methoxy carbamyl hexanoic acid. So let's decode this entire name. It looks complicated, but once you are thorough with all the prefixes, it's very simple. You have to just write down the locant number, and the prefix, just write it down in the alphabetical order. That's it. It is that simple. So we start with the least alphabetical order one, so that is carbamyl. So 5 carbamyl for the amide group present here. Then 6 chlorocarbonyl, that is the acid chloride group present here. Because when as we move ahead in alphabetical order, like Ca. So here if you see, it's CCC. But when it comes to A, H, Y, they come in a increasing order. So in the same way they have been arranged. So then 4 for the cyno, then 2 formyl. So we know that aldehyde group, when it's present in the middle, it gets the prefix of formyl, and when it's present in the terminal part, it gets the it gets the prefix as oxo. Then comes our 3-methoxycarbonide, nothing but our ester part. So our 3-methoxycarbonide hexanoic acid. Here the methoxycarbonide, here the ester group also behaves like our substitute. So we don't write it like ester naming. So we don't write like alkyl alkanomate. So we don't name it like that. Here we just directly name it as 3-methoxycarbonyl. That is nothing but 3-alkoxycarbonyl. So hexanoic acid, because there are 6 carbons in the parent chain, so hex. Ane, because there is no unsaturated bonds here, and oic acid for the suffix of the principal functional group present here. That's nothing but a carboxylic acid. So here I come to an end with the polyfunctional nomenclature. So now I'm going to be discussing some various examples of these, or various combinations of these nomenclature. So here the first one is, so here if you observe that there are two principal functional groups attached to the terminal chain, to the terminal parts of this carbon chain. So when two chain terminating functional groups which are same are connected to the carbon atoms of the parent chain directly, they they become a part of the main carbon chain. So for this one, if you see, there are two carboxylic acid groups attached to it, and which makes a parent chain carbon number as 4. So its name will be butane dioic acid. Butane because there are 4 carbons here, and dioic for the dioic acid for the 2 carboxylic acid groups attached over here. In the same way, here you see I have taken examples of 2 amide groups being attached to the carbon atoms, 2 cyanide groups attached to the carbon atoms, and 2 aldehyde groups attached to the carbon atoms. Here they are taken to be as functional groups only, but they are the same functional groups. So you give it like, since they're the same ones, we don't take another one as to be as the substituent. We take them all as we take the 2 whenever they're present in the terminal end. We take both of them to be our main principal functional groups. Now I would really want you to put this down on paper and write down the names. So in the first one, you know that there are 2 amide groups, and whenever there is an amide group present, we name it as diamide, and there are number of carbon atoms present here are 3. In the second one also there are 3, and when coming to our fourth one, we take even the carbon atoms present in the aldehyde group. So the number of carbon atoms present in it are also 4. So let's check the answers here. So for the first one, the answer will be propane diamide, because there are 3 carbons in the main chain, so propane, and the 2 amide groups attached to it, so both are taken as the principal functional groups, so both become diamide. Same way in the next one, there are 3 carbon atoms, so propane. Dinitrile, because there are 2 cyanide groups attached to it, and they both behave like suffixes. They both behave like principal functional groups, and hence their suffixes are dinitriles. Now coming to the next one, here there are 4 carbon atoms attached. So there are 4 carbon atoms in the main parent chain, and there are 2 aldehyde groups present. So we name it as butane diol. We name it butane diol. Now, so because there are 2 aldehyde groups present here. So now coming to our next category, okay. So when 3 chain terminating functional groups which are same are connected to the carbon atoms of the chain directly, the carbon atoms of the functional groups are not assigned by any serial numbers. So here it's very difficult to decide now which one do I take as a principal functional group, because there are 3 of them and all the 3 are attached to the particular carbon to each are attached to each carbon atom in the main parent chain. So it's very difficult to decide now which all should I take as the main principal functional group. In such cases, you don't take all the 3 to be as a principal functional group, nor you take the terminal ones to be in the parent chain and the one in the middle one to be a substituent. In these cases, you take all three of them to be a substituents. Here I have taken like 3 carboxylic acid groups attached to it, and the second one 3 aldehyde groups attached to it. But the main way to do it is that we do not take all these 3 carboxylic acid groups to be the functional groups. We take them to be our normal substituents here. So the name for this will be propane 1, 2, 3 dicarboxylic acid. When you have 3 carboxylic acid groups attached to the main parent chain, and propane 1, 2, 3 tricarbaldehyde when you have 3 aldehydes present on the main parent chain. That is, each carbon has a aldehyde present. This special kind of naming, and it's very new. It's a previous NEET and JEE papers have these models, so it's very necessary you have an idea of them. Now in the same way, I have attached cyanide groups, acid chloride groups, and amide groups to it, and I would really want you all to also put them down on paper and name it. So you can observe that all the 3 of them have 3 carbon atoms in it. So all will have the main chain as propane, as since there is no what do you say no unsaturated bonds present in them. So now I hope you all have written your answers, so let's check them. So in the first one, you see there is the name will be propane 1, 2, 3 tricarbonitrile. And for the second one, when there is an acid chloride group attached to it, its name will be propane 1, 2, 3 tricarbonyl acid chloride. And when there are amide groups attached to it, the name will be propane 1, 2, 3 tricarboxyamide. So this is a special kind of nomenclature. I would really want you guys to take a kind of screenshot or screensaver or make a note of them in any of your books, because these are really very helpful. Sometimes you can even write alcohol groups in place of them. You guys can also practice in such a way and get an idea of this. You can keep different functional groups here, but it's the same way of naming them. Now coming to the next kind of category, here if you see that now the main parent chain is not connected to the main principal functional group directly. So in the middle one, if you see, there is one more carbon group, carbon atom attached to it. So in such cases, the method that we discussed earlier is not applicable. So we take, so in this cases we take the one in the middle to be our substituent, and the other 2 in the corner to be our main principal functional groups. So when we name it, so if we do the naming, so we realize that there are 5 carbon atoms in the main chain, and there is ethanoic acid group that is present in the as a substituent on the 3rd carbon of a parent chain. So the name will be 3-carboxymethyl pentane 1, 5 dioic acid, because there is principal functional group nothing but a carboxylic acid present on the 1st and 5th carbon. So you named as pentane 1, 5 dioic acid, because there are 2 carboxylic acid groups present here. 3-carboxymethyl, because you have methyl group that is that has a carboxylic acid attached to it as a substituent. So we don't write it like as we don't make the name as pentane 1, 3, 5 dioic acid. No, you write the name as 3-carboxymethyl pentane 1, 5 dioic acid when you have these principal groups. Not every one of them is directly attached to the main parent chain, and one of them, in that case, one of them will behave like the substituent. That's nothing but the middle one. Now in the same way, when I have aldehydes attached here, you guys can make a note of it and then write down what might be it. It is just the same way of naming it. In this one, the name for the compound will be 3-formyl methyl pentane diol. So 3-formyl for the substituent that is attached to the 3rd carbon, or which also has a methyl group present on it. So we name it as 3-formyl methyl. Then pent for the main carbon chain has 5 carbon atoms, and diol for the 2 aldehydes that are present in the terminal ends. Now, in the same way, when I've attached cyanide groups in the same manner, so the name for this compound, I would really want you all to make a note of it on a paper. At least try what could be the name. And in this, you can notice that there are 5 carbon atoms in the main chain. In this one, I take even the carbon atoms in the carbon atom of the nitrile in the main parent chain, and the methyl and cyanide group that is attached to the third carbon as a substituent. The name of this compound will be 3-cyano-methyl pentane dinitrile. 3-cyano-methyl for the substituent that's attached on the third carbon, pentane for the main parent chain, and pent for the main parent chain because it has 5 carbon atoms with saturated bonds, so it's ane, and dinitrile for the two cyanide groups present on the terminal ends. You can even name it as 3-cyanomethyl pentane 1,5 dinitrile. It's your wish, but you can also write it as it's not necessary, or you have to always write down the numbers in this dinitrile case. It's your wish. For both the cases, you will get marks. Next one, I have acid chlorides attached to my compound. Now you guys can also make a note of it on a paper. And here if you see, there are again 5 carbon atoms in the main parent chain, and the prefix for acid chloride when it behaves as a substituent is chloronyl carbonyl, and for when it behaves as a suffix it is oic chloride. So the name of this compound will be 3-chloronyl carbonyl pentane dioic chloride, because there the third carbon there is the acid chloride group, and also the carbonyl group as are carbon atom attached to it, and there is 5 carbons in the main chain, and dioic for the 2 acid chloride groups present over it. Now here I have amide groups present on it. Same way, same thing. So here we know that the prefix for amide group is carbomyl, and its suffix is amide. So the name for this compound will be 3-carbonyl methyl pentane diamide. So this is the nomenclature of. So coming to the next topic, that's nothing but replacement nomenclature. So replacement nomenclature, I'm going to be explaining using this example. So it's nothing but when several ethyl oxygens, nothing but when there are many ether oxygens present in a particular compound, we even assign we also assign a serial number, nothing but a locant number, to these ethereal oxygens. And so the naming of this compound goes in a way so in which the ethereal oxygens are also taken to be as our normal carbon atoms. And the prefix oxa is included in the name along with the position of the oxygen in the chain. So here if you observe that if I start naming these ethereal oxygens from left to right, I get the number as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the name and the prefix oxa is included in the name along with the position of the oxygen in the chain. You all are aware of the fact. So the name of this compound will be 2,5,7 trioxaoctane, because there are now, if I have taken this to be as a complete chain, it has 8 present in it. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 atoms present in this total chain, in which the second, fifth, and seventh one are in ethereal oxygens. So we name it as 2,5,7 hyphen trioxa, because the prefix used in this case is oxa octane. So we have to remember that oxa is used as a prefix in 3 cases. 1, when ketone is used as a substituent. 2, when aldehyde group is present in the terminal part of the carbon chain. And 3, when an ethereal oxygen is present in a particular compound, and when there are several ethereal oxygens present in a particular compound. So this is the replacement nomenclature. So that's all for today's video. Thank you for watching my video. Please do like, share, and comment on my video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you want any more topics to be explained in my further videos, please put it down in the comment box, or you can ping me on Instagram and also follow me on my page there. Till then, take care, stay safe, be happy. Bye.